Welcome back, friends, to Just Keep Parenting. Glad to have you join us today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about encouragement. If you remember, we're still in the book, Easy to Love, Difficult to Discipline, 7 Basic Skills for Turning Conflict into Cooperation. And one of the things that has been on my mind lately is, that encouragement. How do we give that specific, positive, specific praise to our kids? Been talking a lot about it with the teachers here on campus, and they're pretty good at awesome sauce. That is so amazing, right? But it's pretty empty. It's pretty empty praise. It's pretty empty encouragement, right? And we know from research that children do better when they have the positive specific rather than just positive, because it helps kids to understand how they're doing, right? It gives them a way to evaluate, so to speak. And I was thinking about evaluations, and I remember when I started back at BYU a few years ago, my mentor, Jean Larson, I came away from my first evaluation, my student evaluation, in tears, right? Because I had some really glowing remarks and I had some really negative remarks. And then I had a lot of middle marks, right? And she said to me, Dory, the first thing you've got to do if you're going to be a teacher of adults is you have to figure out how to take this and use it. I'm like, well, teach me how to use it. I was in tears, and she said, you take the top and you throw it out, and you take the bottom and you throw it out, and you concentrate on what's in the middle, right? So that's what I've been able to do for most of my career, is to take those really great things and really negative things and say, I'm going to concentrate right here. However, as we think about what we do well, right, one of the things that we tend to focus on are the negatives, right? We're like, wait a minute, I was talking about the things that I do well, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is how do we honor our children, right, so they can honor us? How do we honor others so they can honor us? I remember a friend back in high school said to me, every time I give you a compliment, you make me feel like a heel. And that's the last thing I want to do, is make somebody feel like a heel for giving me a compliment, right? But she said, you don't know how to say thank you. So as I've been thinking about all these things when we talk about honoring and being encouraging to others, those two experiences have come back to my life. And I think it's a good thing that we have memories, right? So that we can remember and do better at accepting people's compliments, at giving out encouragement, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about how to help children help themselves, right, when it comes to encouragement. Because most of us like to think we're pretty good at encouragement, right? And like my teachers, awesome sauce, that's so amazing, right? Because we give encouragement that way, right? But Dr. Bailey in her book talks a lot about encouragement that is effective and encouragement that is damaging. And so that's what I want to talk about, right? The difference between effective and ineffective praise, right? And examine the value of rewards. Because we're going to learn how to really effectively acknowledge our children's efforts, right? And their accomplishments. And we're going to learn how to praise children in a way that supports their feelings of self-worth, right? And security, and hopefully build unity, whether it's in a classroom, whether it's at home. So on page 122, that's the part that we're going to focus on today, is what we do unto ourselves, we do unto others, right? And we know this, if you go back and watch some of the previous videos, we know this is from, The Power of Encouragement, right? And so praise can either be discouraging or encouraging, right? Depending on how it's used. I can manipulate it, right, to make it be a little discouraging, right? Because sometimes we use encouragement to get the children to behave or to bolster their self-esteem, right? But we want to achieve a bigger goal for that. We want the children to create an encouraging environment. That's what we're trying to do, is create an encouraging environment, not just for the moment, not just if you do this, this is what you'll get, right? I remember when I taught in the public schools, I was a first year teacher and I thought, I got to do something to have these kids write literacy, right? I want them to learn how to write. And so every time that they would do something good, I would give them a chance slip, and they wrote their name on a paper and put it in a fishbowl. And at the end of the day, we chose somebody out, and they got to go choose something out of the pirate booty treasure, right? And I was really caught off guard one day when a child said to me, "So, if I do this, are you going to give me some more chance slips?" And I was like, "What? What have I done to children?" Right? No, I'm not going to give you any more chance slips. That's your job, right? And so I was disappointed in myself. I was also a first year teacher. I was trying to survive, right? So I had decided I didn't care right then, but I had to put that in my thought process to say, what am I doing to encourage children for creating an environment and not just for a chance slip, not just for that reward, right? And so as encouragement stems from this power of unity, right, it helps us connect with our children at home or in the classroom. So as we use encouragement this way, we can instill that value of interdependence in our children, right? That we need each other. When our children can celebrate themselves, then they can celebrate other people. But we can't do that until we can celebrate ourselves. That's what my friend was trying to say. I'm trying to celebrate you by giving you this compliment, but you're not doing it. And consequently, I had a hard time celebrating others, right? And so as we celebrate, we create a sense of belonging, and that continues to grow, right? We typically talk to our children like we talk or treat ourselves, right? This is kind of interesting. The National Family Institute reports that children spend an average of 12.5 minutes each day communicating with parents. Of that 12.5 minutes, 8.5 minutes are focused on corrections, criticisms, or arguments. And then another study revealed that on average, a child hears 432 negative comments daily compared to 32 positive comments. Kind of makes your heart hurt, doesn't it? And yet, as we're talking with children, I was in the booth today, I was in the classroom today, and I was trying to make sure that I was giving positives, right, to all those kids. We've missed you. We're so glad you're back, right, as I patted them on the back. And it's so good to see your face again. Actually, I said eyes because I can't see their face because they're wearing a mask, right? So how do we create this encouraging environment, right? So I want you to take this quiz. All right, so if you're following me in the book, it's on page 123. So during the course of one day, I tend to focus more on A, assets and strengths, or B, my liabilities and weaknesses. So choose A or B. Number 2, typically I, A, accept myself as I am, or focus on what is wrong and needs changing. Too fat, too thin, too something, right? Choose A or B. Number 3, I generally talk to myself in a way that A, builds self-confidence, B, makes me feel confused or inadequate. 4, during the day I tend to think about A, what I currently am doing, or B, what I should be doing. Number 5, I notice A, my efforts and improvements, or B, that I am not where I think I should be. Number 6, as life unfolds, I tend to A, judge events as good or bad, or B, notice the turn of events without the need to judge. So, as you gather your A's and your B's, right, if you selected more A answers, then you probably are good at encouraging yourself. If you selected more B answers, then you may tend to discourage yourself. And remember, we tend to treat our others in our life how we treat ourselves, right? So if you routinely discourage yourself, you will unconsciously discourage your children, right? So how do we create this, my friends, right? We don't want to discourage our children as parents, as teachers, as adults in children's life. That's not what we're really up to. But how do we change it? How do we do differently? And I love how Dr. Becky Bailey talks about it in here. She said, the first thing we have to do is to accept both yourself and your situation as they are, right? The power of acceptance. We've talked about it. If you want to go look at it, look it up. It's called the power of acceptance. So accepting us for who we are, right? The second one, focus on what you want rather than what you don't want, right? That's the power of attention. We did a video on that too, right? So focus on what we want if I want to feel better, if I want to get more sleep, I got to go to bed earlier, right? Number 3, own your own upset, right? This is mine. This isn't anybody else. Nobody else made me mad, right? Even that driver that cut in front of me, I chose that, right? I chose to get upset. And so that's the power of perception. The 4th one is attribute positive intent to yourself and to others. So the power of love, right? There's another video on that as well. So that positive intent, right? The glass half full, the growth mindset, right? Attribute positive intent. I love that. Giving others grace. The next one, acknowledge the only person you can make change is yourself. That's the power of free will. I can't make anybody do anything else. Right? I can scare them. I can manipulate them. I can give them more chance slips. But is that really creating that encouraging environment again? Right? And then the last one is view conflict as an opportunity to teach or learn, right? And that goes back to the power of intention. We've talked about that. We've made a video on all of those different powers. So that's what I would hope that we could think about this week and then put into implementation, right? Because as we get better at having self-control and encouragement, right, we're going to get better at creating that environment for our children. So next week, my friends, we are going to continue chapter 6, right? And we're going to continue down this, how do I create this environment of encouragement, environment of living in a good spot, right? But today, let's focus on those 6 powers, right? What can we do today to focus on those 6 powers? I noticed the other day, my friend, she was talking and she just said, I am such an idiot. And I looked at her and I said, no, I don't think you're an idiot, right? Of course she was joking. But it's that whole concept. How do we talk to ourselves, right? If we can use better talk with ourselves, then we can usually use better talk when we're talking to others. So think about your talk, think about your thoughts this week, and see if we can work towards creating an encouraging environment for our children. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Share it if you know somebody who could use it, and we'll go from there. Thank you again.